What is up, guys? 70 Savage here, coming at you today from my living room. So today we are going to be talking about everything that you need to know about roof fans. That includes the orientation of the roof fans, how many roof fans you need to use, what kind of roof fans there are out there, whether or not it's even a good idea to use roof fans at all. Let's go ahead and get into it. We just finished installing the roof fan on the new van build, and the installation process was exactly the same installation process as it was last time around. So I thought it would be more valuable to have a little bit of a different video than just a how to install a roof fan. In fact, I actually used the roof fan installation video from last year to relearn how to install the fans from this year. All right, so topic number one, why roof fans at all? What is the purpose? The reason that van lifers have roof vents is because they never shower and it kind of covers up the smell a little bit. Completely joking, but also kind of not. I originally thought that the purpose of fans in a van was simply to cool the space, and that was their primary reason of existence. I now realize after my last van build that that's not the case. It's primarily for airflow. Yes, it helps a bit in the summer when you want to cool down, but having roof fans allows you to push that air through, creating fresh air, creating that nice, fresh feeling rather than that kind of awkward, sweaty, crusty feeling. All right, so next topic, what types of roof fans are there and which type should you buy? There's everything from the cheap Chinese Amazon version to the fantastic fans, which I consider like a mid-tier, all the way up to the max fans. For the purpose of this video, there's kind of just two different styles. There's the top opening style that just goes bloop, bloop, bloop. And then there's the max fan style that also kind of opens from the top. So that was a confusing way of describing it. But the max air fans extend beyond the back and create a weatherproof cover. Anytime you're in the van, rain, sun, snow, whatever, you're gonna want airflow in your van. And that's why I think it's worth it to spend a little bit extra on a max fan and get that design that allows you to open it in the weather. So I picked out the 3 fans that I would buy if I were on a small budget, a medium budget, and a large budget. I put the links to those 3 fans in the description below. Topic number 3, how many fans do you need and where should you place them on your roof? Let's start with the 1 fan configuration. Now, having 1 fan is a good option. Roof space is like gold in van life and when you're building RVs. You're gonna wanna have as much space as you can possibly have for solar panels. Having 1 fan maximizes the amount of roof space that you're gonna have for other stuff and still has a pretty good effect. You can definitely get away with just having 1 fan. There's a few different options that you have for actually mounting it. That could be in the back of the van, middle of the van, or in the front of the van. Now, my main advice for where to mount a single fan configuration is opposite the side that you have windows. Let's say you want to put your max fan in the front of the van. It's really important that you have windows in the back of the van so that when you turn your fan on and it's sucking air outwards, it creates airflow through the entire van. And no matter where you're at in the van, you still get the benefit of that airflow. In general, I wouldn't recommend a center located fan. And then you have the option for a back located fan. Similar to the front, you just want to have windows on the front of your van so that you can create that airflow. The second configuration that you can have is the 2 fan configuration. The goal with placement on 2 fans is to get one as far back as possible and as far front as possible. The great part about having 2 fans is you don't really need to worry about windows as much because you can turn 1 fan to push air in and 1 fan to suck air out, and you create a nice air circulation throughout the vehicle. Keeps you smelling nice and fresh, sweat-free. Could use a couple fans right now. So the downside of having 2 fans is obviously having less space on the roof. I did opt to have 2 fans in this van build that I'm doing currently. I have never lived in a van with 2 fans before, so we're gonna see how well it works and whether or not it's worth it, but I have a feeling that it's going to be just with how much extra airflow you can get going through the van. And for extra credit, there is a 3rd configuration. That is the roof vent combined with the roof fan. That gives you a lot of the same benefits as the 2 fan combination. Obviously, one of them is just a passive vent though. All right, next topic, tips for installation. As I mentioned before, I made an entire video that goes into the details of how to install a max fan on the roof of a Sprinter van. It's also directly applicable to like a ProMaster or Transit. That video is popping up on the screen right here, and I will put a link to that video in the description below. But there are a couple of tips that I've learned in my old times about how to make the installation as good as possible. First things first, if you are installing one of these fans on a van, you're going to need a roof bracket The best place to buy that is a guy called Impact Products / Hein. You can find him on eBay. I will put a link to his eBay store in the description below. He manufactures adapters that go on the roof of your van and fit perfectly over the ribs of your van's roof, creating a perfectly flat surface to mount your fan to. You need a perfectly flat surface to mount the fan to. They're a little bit pricey, like $60 or something around there. Don't quote me on that. They're absolutely worth it for having the best possible installation. Next tip, if this is your first time using a jigsaw or your first time using a jigsaw cutting steel, I have one tip for you: send it. Do not try and baby the throttle and go nice and slow at first, because what will happen, and trust me, I know this because this happened to me, if you try and baby the throttle, the jigsaw teeth are going to catch on the steel and your jigsaw is going to get sent bouncing across the roof, leaving a bunch of dents that you're going to need to fill up. Your jigsaw will stab you in the back. God, that is an awful image in my mind now. Pull the trigger all the way and start cutting at the same time. It's one fluid motion. As you guys know from my last video, I am indeed a certified god with the jigsaw, so you can trust my advice. The final tip for installation is with the Dicor lap sealant. So the Dicor lap sealant is that stuff that you put on at the very end that kind of seals the entire joint. It is self-leveling sealant. It's pretty much the nastiest, gooeyest RV sealant you could possibly imagine. It's super it's gross, but it does the job really well. And the tip that I have for you is how to actually apply that. Instead of going all the way around the perimeter of the fan, like I did in the first video, what you want to do is make small back and forth motions across the entire area that you're trying to seal until you make your way all the way around the fan. Very similar to how you would weld something. You want to make small back and forth motions across the length, and you gotta do it in one go, guys. Do not try and like put the sealant down and decide, oh, that's not quite perfect enough, and like wipe it up and do, like, it is a nightmare if you have to do that stuff more than once. So make sure that you're kind of just going for it on the first try, getting that nice crispy welding motion, and you're gonna end up with a pretty solid pattern. It's not gonna be perfect. The stuff is messy. The stuff is not designed to look perfect when it's installed, but it's on your roof. Unless you find Bigfoot in the woods when you're camping, nobody's gonna be looking at your roof anyway. All right, guys, that covers all of the main sections. I just wanna cover a couple of conclusionary topics, if that's a word. First off, having a roof fan versus not having any roof fans at all is like a night and day difference. You need to have at least one roof fan, in my opinion, to get that airflow and prevent the stinkage. That being said, having one or more roof fans is amazing for airflow. It is not going to make a night and day difference in the summertime when you want your van to be cool inside. Fans can bring the temperature inside your van closer to the temperature outside of your van, but the fans themselves will never make the inside temperature of a van cooler than the outside temperature of the van. So don't go into it with that expectation. If you wanna have house level comfort in your van, you're going to need a heater and you're going to need an air conditioner. It's a little bit different for RVs because they're kind of a sealed, insulated box. But in vans, insulation only goes so far. It definitely helps. It makes it better than no insulation, but it is not a house, guys. You have to remember, your house has like 8 or 9 inches of sealed insulation. So just keep your expectations realistic. Fans are great for airflow. They help a little bit with cooling. So this was a short and sweet video, but I hope you guys learned something from it. If you like this content, you wanna see more of it, slap that subscribe button. You already know what to do. If you did learn something from this video, slap that like button. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time.